Again, I put it still a little bit higher. Besides being the host, I have also the honor of being a contributor, and I'll give a introduction to the films that we're going to watch, two films by Jop Horst and Joris Boudouin. My article in the special issue is called Moving in Circles, Space and Place in Media Archaeology and the Art of Jop Horst. Horst was a Dutch artist and experimental filmmaker. He was born in 1961 in Rome, and he passed away in 2014 in Hengelo. That's the place where he lived and worked. His legacy has been taken care of by his partner, Diana de Vries. Welcome, Diana. The films he made that we will watch have been made in collaboration with Joris Boudouin. Joris is here as well. Welcome. So if you have any questions about the films, please feel free to approach him and ask him about how the films were made. Through the work of Horst, I've proposed the concepts of surplus and the circular trace as spatial counterparts to the idea of non-linear time in media archaeology. Media archaeologists have deconstructed the idea of teleology, the idea that there is a goal to history, and instead of linear progress as a continuous improvement of technologies, conditions, and insights, there are inventions, practices, and ideas from the past that come back again and again. Surplus is a term that I've taken from track cycling. It is the situation when two cyclists stand next to each other. This is no longer very much the case. There are other rules now, but in the past they could stand for minutes and even up to an hour, just standing still on their bike, watching each other, till the moment that the other would lose concentration, and then you would go. So then you had an advantage. So this actually implies the tension between standing still and the possibility of movement. Once the cyclists move, they move in circles. That's track cycling. So they end where they started. There's no destination. The cyclical trace eventually leads back to one's own point of departure. This is exemplified by Horst's so-called broodroostertekeningen, toaster drawings, which are displayed here in the corridor outside the theater. Instead of capturing light, as photographic film material does, these drawings have captured heat produced by the toaster, which could have been a dimension of film recording. The drawings are traces of heat being a specific effect of the materiality and the manufacturing of the toaster, in this case of the brand Reaktor, made in Eastern Germany in the 1970s. The bread crumbles are still in the toaster. So they must also be counted in when thinking about the drawings, how they affect the drawings. The drawings can be seen as a kind of conceptual maps showing the toaster's provenance, made in East Germany. Most likely, and this is what I explain in the article, made by machines, by the machine factory Stork that was there in Hengelo. I see Fidel laughing. He has another connection with the Stork. That's another story. So there is a kind of a full circle back. So the machines by the Stork factory were sold to Eastern Germany to produce commodities like toasters, and then the toaster went back to Hengelo where Jop Horst made the toaster drawings. So I see these drawings as a kind of conceptual map that create this full circle. The two films exemplify both concepts too. They also represent two strands in the work of Horst. I think there are quite a few works, installations, films, drawings that are more abstract and those that are more figurative. So we will first see a figurative film, which is 1.5 minutes. It's called MolenJop, or Jop as a Mill, from 1985. And the action in the film exemplifies surplus. I must say this is a more figurative film, but both figurative and abstract films actually address the construction of image, how the filmic image is constructed. As a circular trace, MolenJop refers back, so what you see in the image refers back to the principle of motion emerging out of still images. It points to the film camera where the butterfly shutter, so this is the device that looks like the wings of a butterfly. It turns, so when the film frames are transported, there is the butterfly that allows the light to hit the film material, and it blocks the film material or blocks the light when it's being transported. So this is a crucial device for intermittent motion, why there is something like cinema. So what you see in the action, I consider that as a kind of circular trace back to the principle of film itself that creates that image. The second work is Golvenfilm, or a film of waves, from 1992 of about 8 minutes. This experiment addresses the physicality of light appearing as waves, which create the film image itself. So the light that creates the image is actually exposed as such. The film camera was mounted on a record player turning around, which is another instance of surplus, the camera turning around. And lamps in a darkened room also turn around on record players. The camera speed was very low. Instead of 24 images per second, it was 4 seconds per image. So the camera was left, the butterfly shutter was left open in order to expose each frame 4 seconds, while the camera was turning around and while the lamps were turning around. So this is an attempt to actually capture movement, which is impossible. We are, as mankind, still not possible to capture movement. We create an illusion of movement out of still images. So this is a very interesting experiment by moving the camera, by moving the object, and trying to catch and capture light. We wanted to project the original 60mm film, which would make sense. It's about the physicality of light. Unfortunately, that's not possible. So I think it's very similar in what we just saw with the video essay. It would, of course, be nice to show that in 60mm. I must say, the film was originally shot on 8mm. So there has been a 60mm copyright made for actually a theater performance. So it was a kind of cinematic set. Now the film has been copied to a digital carrier. So we actually see a representation of a representation. The 60mm was not the original footage. So this is also something like a circular trace. The two films are optical experiments and have no sound. However, in my article, I also describe works focused on sound besides other defining features of the moving image. So we're first going to show MolenJop, 1.5 minutes, and then directly afterwards Golvenfilm, or a film of waves of 8 minutes. Have a good screening. you.